Is it getting any signal? Oh yeah, yep, there we are. Perfect. This is how it all starts. All right, nerd sniping myself into a rabbit hole. I'm very well known for nerd sniping myself and being nerd sniped by my colleagues as well, who are in the room as well. So they can confirm. I'll give you a nice story about what happened to me last year and how I got way too far down that rabbit hole. So in January 2020, I was actually thinking about replacing our old living room speakers with something new, and we were thinking, okay, it would be nice to have some smart speakers, put some in the living room, some in the office, and so on. So we have continuous audio throughout the entire house and all of that. We can stream radio, we can stream Spotify, all of those things would be really nice to have. So I thought, this is going to be an easy replacement. Look on Amazon, look on web shops, and I found these Sonos speakers, and they were ridiculously expensive, I found, for what they were doing. So we went to IKEA, and all of a sudden we saw these Symphonisk speakers there, and they are kind of the same, but it's a fraction of the cost, and they are really Sonos, and they even use the application. So what did we do? We took home all of these cardboard boxes with Symphonisk speakers. We read the manual that says to just relax in your sofa, so we did that as well at some point. And we went onto Google Play and we found the application that you have to install, and we started playing with that, and we could stream Spotify, we could stream internet radio, all of those things, really amazing. This was like the honeymoon phase of our home speakers that we just bought. The only thing is, we also like listening music from this big video website. It's a video website, but it has music as well. And what we wanted to do was being able to play music from this website, right? Would be very nice to have. Well, unfortunately, that is not possible with these devices. For whatever reason, I have no idea, probably politics and legal and all of those things, but we were grumpy. We were really grumpy with this because our honeymoon phase at this point was over. Now what? And if this is a disappointing slide, we were disappointed. So what do you typically do? You go onto the App Store and you find some other apps. And I found this app, I think at the time it was like 20 cents or 50 cents or whatever. And I did not want to spend 50 cents on this application because obviously that's way too much money. It's again giving out data to other people. It's yet another application to find videos and so on, whereas this video website already has a nice web or a nice application that you can use and you can start working with. So we decided, okay, let's not buy this application. Let's go with the documentation and see if I can build something myself. Because I was looking at the Sonos website and I found that it supports different audio formats, including MP4. And I was thinking, okay, YouTube, that's probably going to be videos in MP4. So it should be able to play these things, right? Well, this is where the nerd snipe really happens. If you are not familiar with the term, nerd sniping is giving someone something that seems simple and that will put them in a very time-consuming problem-solving modes and really just gets you down that rabbit hole. So this happens quite a lot to me, unfortunately, but here we are. So I started doing some research and I was splitting this problem into multiple phases, and I was thinking, okay, first of all, I need a way to send a file to those speakers, play something on those speakers and go with that. So I found after some searching that there's a nice Python library called SOCO, that is Sonos Connection, something like that, and that you could give a URL to a file that you host somewhere and it would play. So I started writing some Python. I had no idea how to write Python, but I found this snippet and that worked. I was able to host something on my local machine on a web server, put an MP3 there, and that played on the speakers. Awesome. Getting the MP4 URL of the video would also be something that I needed. I needed to get the URL to the video on YouTube, and good friend Alexei has a lot of blog posts about how this works, but essentially YouTube has an endpoint that you can hit with a video ID that gives you back some base64 encoded JSON data and gives you a watermark image that you can use and the URL to the video, all of that. It's actually more complex because there's also some signing involved and all of those things. And again, go read Alexei's awesome posts on the topic because it's really interesting to see how you can actually parse that information. But I was able to manage and get one of those MP4 URLs. So next thing to try, of course, was obviously this brilliant snippet of Python code again, where instead of having this MP3 file on my web server, I was giving it the URL to this MP4 file from YouTube on the internet that I could probably stream to the speakers. So imagine this is a unit test. I was expecting sound from the speakers, and all I got was nothing. Like really nothing. And actually that's a lie as well, because it gave this very faint pop and then everything stopped again. So it didn't really work out. So I decided to start troubleshooting. And by the way, I nerd sniped myself again on this slide. It's actually really surprising how much of a rabbit hole finding a picture of a rabbit hole is. Took a long time. Right, so I was searching the internet and I found that the speakers have a public endpoint in your home network that you can hit. You can get status, support, you have some tools, you can do pings and trace routes and so on from your speakers, ping other speakers, ping internet websites, all of those things, but nothing useful there that told me why this was not working. So no bugs, no debug logs or anything like that, nothing to be found in there. Then I got the brilliant idea to question 70 open source contributors and thinking, well, maybe this SoCo library is not as good as it thinks it is. Maybe I should just look at what the official application is doing, sniff the network, see what's going over the wire, and look at what is going on there so that I can replicate what is needed. So I did that. I found out that on my Windows machine, I could run Ubuntu in WSL, SSH into my access point IP address, capture on the Wi-Fi interface all the traffic going from my phone to my phone, stream that back to my hard drive on Windows, and then open it with Wireshark. Wireshark is really complex and gives you all of these network information things. So I got this, and also found out that this magical Internet of Things is really SOAP. So your speakers, if you play something on them, it's just pure SOAP going over the wire. So I decided to replay that SOAP payload, and it all worked. MP3 file worked, MP4 file did not work. So why was this? Well, obviously I concluded that 70 contributors of this library were definitely right, it just works. But it didn't work, so I was not happy. Now let's look at containers. Containers, not Docker, not actual shipping containers, but container formats. I started thinking, well, MP3 works, MP4 doesn't work. Maybe I should look at the documentation again. Maybe something is wrong with this MP4 format. So I started looking and I found that MP4s have no internet radio station support. But AAC and high-end AAC, they do have this support, so maybe I should convert this MP4 on the fly to AAC and get the audio from it. Now, it's actually really cool because MP4 is a container format and it contains video, but also the audio. And audio typically in MP4 videos is already in AAC format. So I was thinking, okay, if I can read this container format, this MP4 container format, get out the AAC stream and stream that to the speakers, this should work, right? Well, FFmpeg, awesome tool. It is like a Swiss Army knife for anything media related. I decided to give it the original MP4 file, copy the AAC stream out to an M4A file, and try and stream that. I used SoCo again to play this on the speakers, and I was expecting audio, unit test, and again, I got my pop. Nothing. So it didn't work. And I was frustrated at this time, but also very deep into the rabbit hole. So I decided, okay, I want to make this work. I want to see why this is not working. I was frustrated, really. I found on Twitter or Google on page 79 or something like that, I found a blog post, how I hacked Sonos and YouTube in the same day. Started reading the blog post and I realized this person is doing exactly what I am trying to accomplish. So I contacted the guy on Twitter and he told me, dude, it's AAC, but it's in ADTS format. Every atom needs a header in every frame. And I was like, what? I have no idea what the guy is saying, but I decided to look into the blog post, see what was going on, and also try FFmpeg again to see if I could get the AAC stream properly using ADTS encoding out of the file. And I used SoCo, and this is where it gets really cool. I expected audio, and I got audio. Yes. Happy cats. But of course, I wasn't there yet because I would not want to explain to my family members like, yeah, just use FFmpeg and stream the file to the speakers. It's going to work. So I decided to make it a nice app on my phone. The architecture would be simple. I would have the YouTube application that has this share button that I could click, which would then send the URL to the video to my app that I have. My app would reach out to YouTube, get the video ID, get the MP4 URL, then do something to convert this MP4 to ADTS, reverse proxy the file over my home network to my speakers. Amazing. It's like professional and all, it's amazing. So I opened up Android Studio because I have an Android, and I was thinking like, where do I even start? I have no idea. I was really happy that at JetBrains, I work at JetBrains, I know this IDE because it's very similar, so that was not really a big hurdle. But anything else in terms of building a mobile application, I had no idea, literally. But I found that you can actually run a web server on your phone. You just register a service that prevents the application from shutting down. It's actually nicely documented. And you can run an embedded web server on Netty or whatever, stream a video and do something in that block of code that you see there to actually give you that stream of data that is going to the speaker. Then I was reading Dead Food's post again and reading up on atoms and boxes and all of that. So the thing that was wrong with my original MP4 file where I extracted the audio was that it was AAC audio, which means you have a stream, as we've seen in a previous presentation here, where in that stream there would be a header saying, look, 25 samples of audio are coming on 2-channel audio and all of that, and then just the raw data that would stream to the speakers. The ADTS format is kind of different. It combines the headers with the data, so it just gives you the data in one format and all of that. So essentially, all I had to do, sounds very simple, but nope. All I had to do was convert the one stream to the other stream, right? So I did that. Actually quite nice. There's an MP4 parser that you can use to open up the original stream, see what is in there, read all of the blocks of data that are in there. And then I was reading up on the spec of ADTS and found out that I could write a header always to the file or to the stream that was going over the network, and then use that library to read the sample and recreate it and write it out again. In the end, and this is the moment we have all been waiting for, and I have no audio, so I think there is audio, but in the end, I built this. I have a YouTube application. I go in there, I click on share, I go to my YouTube to Sonos. It opens, it shows the speakers that are in the house. Takes a while because it's doing a network scan, which was another nerd snipe to figure out. I pick the device, it starts the stream, sends it off to the speakers, and then I can see in the Sonos application that it's actually running. It is there. I get the track title. I even get a nice cover art from the YouTube video that is there, and it is playing. So cool, it works. The sad news is I have not really used it a lot since I built it, but there we are. What I did learn was that it's really nice to just dive into random technology, see what is there. You have a background in whatever you are doing in your day-to-day job, and you can explore technology, learn about problems, dive into those problems, and learn a lot from that. I also found that if you help people, and other people spend some time writing blog posts or creating GitHub repositories with information and all of that, it's super helpful. And I would say if you discover something that is cool and that you feel needs sharing, don't just put it on Twitter, create a repo for it, maybe write a blog post or whatever so people can actually find it whenever they are researching something that you are also trying to do. And you can really do anything. I had no idea about Android. I had no idea about how my speakers would work. I had no idea about network sniffing, no idea about figuring out what speakers were on the network. All of those things, no idea. But you have background, you have the tools, and it's really up to you to get this, and you can probably do this. So thank you for that.